What's good, everyone? Today I got my boy Wayen on the phone today, one of the boys inside at ABC. Can you introduce yourself, bro?
Yo, what's good? My name's Wayne. Obviously, the bro just said that, but yeah, I'm 20 years old from New Zealand. Just moved over to Australia, and yeah, that's about it.
Nice, man. Nice. And walk me through, bro. Like, what did you start off with? Where were you before you actually got into ABC, man?
Okay, so I was working a job, like obviously just like a regular old job. Got into that. I mean, straight out of school, just like general like labor work, like planting trees every single day.
Yeah.
Out in the heat, 30, 40-degree weather. I mean, long sleeves as well, pants. Like we were forced to sort of work in those conditions. The way we were getting paid was like per plant, but I wanted a job that was basically, where I was getting paid what I was actually worth. Like, and not just that, it was sort of the one thing that like got my mind was like the freedom, the time that was taken away from me.
Mm,
All these long hours, sometimes sunrise to sunset, get home, basically just crash out and then wake up, repeat, just like the whole repetitive nature side of things.
mm,
And I was doing that for about like 2 years. 2 years straight, fucking hated it every single day. And also, with the time that was like being taken away from me, I was missing out on things that I wanted to do, like things that I actually enjoyed doing in life, like my passions, like music, DJing, going out hanging with my friends. Couldn't do that as much as I actually wanted to.
mm.
But most importantly, not really spending as much time as I wanted to with my family. I'd be missing out on like birthdays, like events, so many things just as a result of being tied down to a job, I didn't want to be in. But that was sort of life. That's what life looked like before I actually. Oh wait. Yeah, that's sort of what life looked like for me, before all this.
Fuck. And that was okay. So working from basically morning till night, was this like a 5 day a week job? Like, how many hours a week were you sort of working here?
Yeah, it was 5 days a week, but there was like the odd week where I wanted to do like 6 days just because I was not getting paid like what I was worth. So I like, had like no choice. I was pretty much like
Yeah.
in my mind, I had to work like an extra day sometimes.
Mm, mm. Fuck, man. So it was kind of like you're working 5 days a week, morning to night. You're not getting paid what you're worth, so you're like forced to pick up more hours. But because you're picking up more hours, say you're working 6 days a week now, you're having less time doing the things that you actually want to do, spend time with your family. Music is a big thing for you. Spend time
Yeah.
with friends as well. Yeah, fuck. Well, I mean, walk me through that a little bit more, man. Like, what made you actually want to change and get out of that position?
Yeah, it's a good question. So basically, with the job that I was working, it's like it's not just something that's draining from like all the time being there. It's the physical side of things at the job as well.
Mm,
Like you're basically like, I mean, you're working like a slave pretty much.
mm,
Just like in the heat, doesn't matter. You still work no matter what the conditions are.
mm,
Um, Basically, how it looked every day for me was just like bending over my back every single day, like this for like 10, 12 hours straight. And then everyone in the job that I was in, just like major back injuries,
mm,
young people that are like 17, they're already crooking out of the job because of it.
mm,
People that are like 50 years old, they're still doing this job as well. But they got like, and they've been through like all the injuries you can possibly think of.
mm.
And the thing that changed for me was that, I got an injury myself. I got
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I got a real bad one in my back, my lower back. And I
Mm,
could still like sort of feel it. Like as of right now, even though it was a long time ago. But not just my back as well, like my neck, it was affecting like my sleep. Couldn't really like move around the way I wanted to.
mm,
So I guess that was like a major turning point, knowing that if I stayed there longer than, I needed to be, there's a chance I could have more injuries, in the future.
mm,
I just thought I took a second to sort of stop and think and look into the future of what my life would look like if I stayed there in terms of injuries, more time that I'd be missing out of my family,
mm.
my passions, and just basically all of it.
Yeah, wow. So it was like the whole time you were in this job for the 2 years, it was something you didn't really enjoy.
Oh, no, I hated it. You can call it like a hatred.
Yeah, fuck. And it wasn't until, you got injured and that was affecting things outside of work as well, sleep, you said as well. probably
Yeah.
sport, just outside of, work life.
Yeah. And I guess that's just because I was like sort of comfortable with where I was at,
Okay.
like for the first 2 years, if that sort of makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And then getting injured was kind of like a wake up call, like, fuck, like this is affecting me now. If I keep going through with this job, it's going to affect me later on, that sort
Yeah.
of thing.
And also, obviously the injury, but there's like two main factors. It's obviously the time and the injury. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
the time that I was missing out, it just sort of like built up over time, like the feeling for it.
Mm.
And then after the injury, I'd go to work and just dread it every single morning. Like I'd get there, be like, fuck this. I do not want to finish this day out. And that's how I thought every single day going to work.
Mm. Mm. So what made you, if you had been injured, and obviously this time thing where like you're not getting paid what you're worth, so you got to pick up more hours. What made you decide that you had to actually do something now? You know what I mean? Like I'm sure this time situation and working a long hour labor job, doing 12 hours a fucking day, I'm
Mm.
sure you would have had little injuries here and there throughout that 2 year span. Like what made you decide, okay, fuck, like this time around, yes, it's been 2 years. Yes, I've had, you know, issues with not having time with my family and being injured and stuff in the past before. What made you go, fuck, like this time around, I actually need to change and do something different?
Oh, well, I think the biggest thing for me was because, I was a very complacent person, lazy, procrastinating as well. Like, every single time I get home from work, I'd scroll on my phone and that'd take up like 2 hours of my day. I'd start playing games. That's like another 2 hours gone. I just really wasn't, productive with the time. I wasn't utilizing all the hours in my day. And then yeah, I kind of looked, once more, I looked into the future. If I kept acting like that, I mean, where was that going to lead me? Into a position where it's costing me more time away from my family and myself, all these things. So that's why I had to make a change as soon as possible. Otherwise, in the future, I'll be in the same position, nothing would change.
Yeah. Yeah, damn, bro. I completely agree. Like, I think a lot of people, they get stuck in just thinking about changing their situation, never actually doing anything about it.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for you, bro, so what made you look into the online space? Because obviously you're working a job, it's not paying you as much as you wanted. It's obviously taking up a lot of your time and you're prone to injury, right? But, you could have gone and worked a different job or maybe studied at uni or something like that. Like, what made you want to get into the online space over, I suppose, everything else?
Um, yeah, that is a good question. I don't know. I guess everyone sort of gets caught on like the algorithm of seeing all these kids, like making what you make in a month, in a single day, or sometimes in a single week. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it just really caught my eye. Just the whole fact that you see all these kids getting this freedom that you want yourself, and yeah, it just kept popping up. So that's why I wanted to jump on it and give it a try myself. But yeah, this wasn't like the first thing I looked into. I tried a lot of things online. I've tried this thing called hedge betting. Do you know what that is?
I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
Just to break it down, it's like sports bet and that shit, like all of that. It's just gambling, but you get like AI to sort of predict the best odds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I jumped on the Discord, that I paid for it,
Mm.
and they guaranteed me like that I'd start to make money, and there wasn't really anything to sort of back that up. I joined the Discord, there was no one to communicate with, no one to ask questions, and like no guidance of like how to actually, get the ball rolling and get started.
Yeah.
So that was out of the picture. Didn't go back to that. I tried drop shipping as well. I tried a course. I got scammed. I tried another course for something else. Forgot what it was, but it was teaching me how to like sell a course, and that's not something I wanted to do. And I tried surveys as well. Like there was so many things that I tried.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, fuck, bro. Tried a few different things and it didn't really work out. Like when did you first start looking into the online stuff? And like, once you stopped, was the last thing you tried like the course selling the reselling the course or whatever it was?
Yeah, I think it was.
How long was that time period, man? Was that like a good 6 months or?
Oh, you mean like how long I was doing it for, or how
Yeah,
long?
yeah, just when you first start looking into the online space and then trying all these different things, like how long did you try to get into the online space? And I suppose, get nowhere with it?
Um, I guess it was like around like the 4 month range, like four months.
Damn. And after like 4 months of trying things and getting scammed and you know, not really getting very far by the sounds of things, how did that sort of make you feel, bro? Like, were you now pretty skeptical about getting into the online space and stuff like that, or
Yeah, like 100%. This was the most nerve-wracking thing for me to actually jump into.
yeah,
Obviously, the factor that I've lost money in the past, you never really do know what is real online. So that was like a huge factor for me, like jumping into something like this. I was shit scared, if
mm,
that's like the complete honest truth. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I was scared as fuck.
yeah, yeah. So obviously for those 4 months you didn't get very far, and obviously after having those bad experiences, you're fucking skeptical, you're shit scared, you didn't get anywhere with it, you got fucking taken advantage of, and now you get to a point where you now get into ABC. I mean, for you, like what was, I suppose, the turning point? Like what made you, even though you were like skeptical and I suppose overthinking everything, what made you decide to take that risk and get into ABC, I suppose, bro?
Mm. Because I needed to take a risk because the thing for me was like, what's more risky? Trying something new or staying in the same position my entire life. That's the way I looked at it. And there's another perspective you can look at it as well. It's like, I mean, it's a good example. Like, have you ever burnt your hand like on a stove before?
Yeah, yeah.
This is just an example. Like your first instinct when you burn your hand on a stove, right, is to like, fuck, I'm never going near that ever again. And that was like the same outlook with me on everything online, like trying these things.
Mm,
But at the same time, we eventually we gotta cook food so we can survive. And
mm,
that's the way I looked at it with online. Eventually, I gotta try like stutter. Eventually, I gotta find something new so I can get myself out of that situation.
yeah, yeah. So it was like, yeah, fuck, you had a bad experience, you burnt your hand on the stove, but it was like, this is like you got to cook. This is the way to get out of the situation that I'm in now and get in one that I actually want to be in.
Yeah,
But I had to get over that fear and just take that risk because that was your way out, sort of thing.
yeah, I needed to get over it, and it's the same thing with like like relationships. Like if you have a bad relationship, you shouldn't really neglect what a good relationship can be in the future.
Mm,
If you get heartbroken, would it be fair to say that love's not real, like at all? 100% absolutely not.
yeah, no, I completely agree. So for you, you had to get over that skepticism. You had to keep trying, something else to eventually get into the online space. I mean, why ABC, bro? Like you tried what betting, hedge betting, you said, drop shipping, um, reselling courses. Like what made you look more into the ABC side of things, bro?
It was mainly like the trust with the people that were helping me out with this, giving me a sense of guidance, structure, which is what I lacked, when I tried all these things in the past.
Mm.
When I tried the hedge betting course, I tried the fuck, what was it? It was a trading course, the one where I was learning how to
Okay.
sell the course.
Okay.
All of those things just lacked a good sense of trust, like people to actually work with, people that, wanted to achieve the same as me,
Mm.
people who were on the same mission, and
Mm.
more like a community. People just surrounding myself with like-minded people. That's why I chose, ABC specifically.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense, man. And so once you got into ABC, how long ago did you actually join, man? It's back in October, wasn't it?
Ah. Yeah, October 11th. So that's around how many months? Seven,
7.
eight-ish,
Yeah.
around that mark.
Yeah. And so since, getting those things you felt like you needed when it came to getting into ABC, like I suppose what has your experience been like? I mean, what's maybe your biggest wins inside of ABC? I mean, how has that actually helped you get out of, you were laboring before, planting trees to sort of where you're at now, man?
Yeah, okay. So ABC, that helps me. The biggest thing for me, like what I wanted to get out of this in general, by learning the right skills was just becoming like a better version of myself, not just like income wise.
Yeah.
And from me putting in the work, learning the skills, sales and marketing, got better communication skills.
Mm.
That's the one thing I really wanted because before I jumped into all of this, I was just a shy little kid, like no life experience, couldn't even string one sentence together or any of that. Had no confidence, no conviction within my voice and any of that. But from putting in the work, I got that, and that was probably the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing for me.
Well, damn it. Nice.
Mm,
Yeah, nice. And what would you say, like in terms of how much you've been able to make and everything like that, man? Like,
mm.
how long did it take for you to start making money? What did that look like? Walk me through it, bro.
Yeah, so basically, I was at this for 2 months and I got absolutely nowhere. Just
Mm.
like no results. But I think it was like a week after that 2 months, I made my first $100. It
Oh, wow.
wasn't much, but it's still proof of concept that it can work. And basically that's all I needed.
Mm.
I needed that proof of concept to keep going, to keep pushing further.
Mm.
And then after that, I think it was another 2 months later, I ended up bringing in $5,000 on a single day. And that was enough to completely replace my old laboring income.
Mm.
And then, fuck, as soon as I got that paycheck, I quit on the spot the same day.
Wow.
No notice. That's just how bad I wanted to, work on myself, work on this and keep scaling further.
Mm.
And fast forward another 4 months, which is where we're at right now. I've brought in, it's been pretty consistent because I've actually stuck with it. I've brought in multiple $5,000 weeks as well. And I think the most I made in a single month was around $10,000 or like a little bit higher Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you actually do now, bro? Like, how do you make your money?
From where I'm at right now, it's just strictly from remote closing. Yeah, so it's just like taking calls over the phone and just closing a deal. Not much else to it. You don't have to post content, and yeah, that's just the route I wanted to go.
Nice, man. Nice. I walk me through it, bro, because you said you got into ABC about October-ish.
Mm.
First 2 months didn't see any results. Then you made $100. Another 2 months pass, you make $5,000 in a single day. What do you feel like was sort of missing for you in terms of getting to those results quicker, bro? Because some people are always like, oh, fuck, like, is it an overnight success? Like, how can I sort of see results? But for you, it was sort of like sporadic in a way. It was like $100 randomly in two months, and then another 2 months later, $5,000 in a single day. Like, that's a massive difference there, right? So, what do you feel like was sort of missing, bro?
The only thing that was missing was myself. That was the only reason behind it. I was holding myself back from seeing results faster.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, I'd come home every single day after work, scroll on my phone, do all these things like what I said earlier, just play the game, just fucking go out drinking with my mates, festies, just getting shit-faced, just living that teenage life. But, if I hadn't been doing all those things, I would have seen results fucking possibly in half the time that I joined.
Yeah.
That was really holding me back. And I'd always tell myself as well, because I was procrastinating, I had no time, to actually dedicate towards this.
Mm.
But the truth is, I had the time, I just wasn't utilizing all my hours properly.
Mm.
So that was sort of the thing that changed. And really also just like focusing on my why as well, like why I was doing this in the first place. It
Mm.
was for the people around me. But realistically, if I wanted to help the people around me, I had to show up for myself, most importantly.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you, did you feel like you had everything you needed at ABC, like all the resources and tools you needed to succeed?
Yeah, everything was there. Like the guidance, I mean, the structure, support,
Mm.
people who know what the fuck they're doing as well. It just really came down to me, not putting in the work and procrastinating and doing all those things. The point I'm trying to make is, you have to show up for yourself to actually make this shit work. And you can kind of look at it like when, I mean, like, do you go to the gym? I'm pretty sure you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when you go to the gym, I mean, everyone in the gym, they've got the membership, they've got the weights, they've got the treadmill, everything's at their disposal. But I want to ask you one question. I mean, why do you feel like everyone in there, doesn't have a six pack?
It's because most people they have access to it all, of course, but they don't show up, they don't actually commit themselves.
Hmm. And that's exactly what separates, like person A, who's sort of overweight, everything's there, and then you got person B with the six pack. What do you feel like the difference is?
They actually showed up. No,
Yeah,
actually just in the gym. Yeah.
exactly. And that's the way that I looked at it, what I was doing.
Mm. No, 100%, bro. Wow. So, I mean, I suppose to recap for you, bro, You're a laborer in 7 months, basically, of getting into ABC. You've been able to pretty much make 10K months now just as a closer. You moved from New Zealand to Australia and you can just pretty much work remote, bro.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's the goals moving forward, bro? Like you've obviously achieved a pretty crazy feat already. Like what's the plan moving forward, man?
That actually is a fucking pretty good question, actually. I don't know. The things I've done like throughout my journey so far is obviously moving to Australia from New Zealand.
Mm.
And my plan is to, help my family get over here as well. I
Yeah.
mean, in terms of money, like my goals, that's not really on my mind as of right now. Like the numbers, that's not really what I care about.
Mm.
There's like a greater purpose to it, like helping people that were in the same position as me because I know how it feels.
Mm.
So just really helping people, that's like one of my main driving factors.
Mm.
Um, Giving back to my family. But I guess the goals moving forward would be like jumping into a personal brand once I completely master the skill set of sales. Because, that's what I want to do down the line. I love the idea of content and just, being myself and like authentic with it.
Mm. Oh, nice, bro. Nice. And like one last question, man, just to wrap it up. Like for anyone who's on the fence, maybe they're working a labor job themselves. Maybe, they're feeling the same sort of way. They're, spending a lot of time at work, not really spending time with friends and family and things that they do want to get into. They're not making enough money. Like, what would you say to those people that are sort of thinking about getting into something else? And maybe they're a little bit skeptical, maybe they're a little bit lost in what to do. What would your like best advice be to those people, bro?
Yeah, so the best advice. Yeah, that's a really good question. So obviously I've been in their shoes as well.
Mm.
I've gone through that skepticism. I've gone through all those thoughts of not really like knowing what to do with my life.
Mm.
But I mean, most of the time, those people that are like watching this video right now, they've got goals of wanting to make these big amounts of money, like $10,000 months, $20,000 months, $50,000 months. But realistically, the only people that do make $50,000 a month are the people, that took the opportunity when it was right in front of them. The
Yeah.
people that, like shot now, aimed later, they didn't like sort of wait for it, they just took it when it was right in front of them, if you sort of know where like I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So just this advice, just take action. Don't think about the bad outcomes. Think about what you actually get out of it.
Mm. Mm.
Mm, yeah.
100%. I think that's what most people they focus on how all the ways it could go wrong instead of thinking about all the ways it could go right.
Yeah.
And I agree, bro. Like, shoot now, aim later. Like, you might as well just try now because thinking about it doesn't really get you anywhere.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks, bro, for your time. And